Well, folks, we are now in some new territory, and I kind of decided as long as I'm going to do new movies, why not do movies that have like a bit of a following? Now, this one, not necessarily as funny, but it does. I mean, it's funnier than Riddick. That's the thing. Will Smith does try to incorporate humor into some of the things he does, and then there's Martin Lawrence, who is a natural comedian. So what happens is what we're doing is we're getting ready to start something new. And the thing I think about it is basically this movie was a hit in its own right. I mean, it was like a summer movie that it stretched. We're going to go ahead and start the movie before I continue. I'm going to say there's going to be Invisible Zero. You should have the DVD copy of Bad Boys 2 if you want to follow along with my commentary. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Alright, that didn't work. Sometimes, like, my remote from my television is kind of blocked and I can't get that, so we're going to do it again. Alright, 3, 2, 1. Now, should have seen a car coming at your face. Yeah, and it's like I can do rated R movies with you guys. It's not a big problem, but the thing was about this film was that when it came out, I didn't see it because I don't know, I thought that it was going to be bad. Like I did see the original Bad Boys in 2003. Like the thing was that I didn't have money in 2003, so what I was doing was I was delegated to MTV and AMC and channels like that where they just played movies all the time. And if it was like, well, you're gonna miss the sex scene or some head getting chopped off in the movie, well, I missed that because I just, what I would do is I would record movies on television. And believe me, I used the VCR like a weapon. And the thing about it was that um basically this movie was a hit in summer 2003, and it came out at just the right time. But this was one of the movies that where it was like, okay, even though they took 8 years to make this, it still is that it's as if they made it in 1998. Because I mean, really, if Will Smith would have copped out of like a couple of the PG-13 movies that he did, like if he would have not done Wild Wild West and Men in Black and Independence Day, he probably would have had a better hit on his hands had he just decided to do Bad Boys. I mean, Will Smith was like the secondary actor to me back in those times. I mean, the man was everywhere in 1998. And the thing about it was, to me, was that the way I see it, that was pretty good. I mean, I didn't listen to his music back then, but he was just like a person that I knew. I mean, it's amazing when you're a child that the celebrities that you know, what you tend to think of those people. Like, I'm not going to call it anything different, but I did kind of want to be like Will Smith when I was 25, 27. And I never emulated him, but every time I saw one of his movies, I liked it. And that's just the way that it goes. I mean, I wish that I would have discovered some of these movies, because the thing was, I didn't really watch R-rated movies back in 1998, 1999. And like the problem with it was that, yeah, I was 9, 10, and it was just ridiculous, like it's a little insight to me like what I was doing around that time. Now, around 2003, like music was big, cars were big. It was a hot summer, but for some reason I see summer 2004 as like the better year. Like summer 2002 was really hot, and I don't necessarily know the movies that came out in 2002, but I do know that Austin Powers was one of them. And the summer movies that came out for this year, I mean, I remember on MTV seeing Shake Your Tail Feather every day. Like they had a show called TRL, and they would show clips from the movie, and I read it and it got a 1 star, and I was like, well, fuck it, I was like, I only watch good movies. That was the way I used to be. Like really, I mean, if a movie, like they say, like there's someone named Oliver Harper. That's who I got my that's who gave me the idea to start doing these commentaries. And like he does bad movies, and he'll be like, well, this movie sucks, and the production and the budget and everything about the film was just abysmal. And the thing about it is, I don't really necessarily have terribly much of a problem with doing bad movies. And I mean, I'm starting to realize that I know Bad Boys was good and it got enough of a following to make a sequel, but this movie in itself, the plot was just bad. And I mean, some of the things that happens, like Will Smith ends up dating Martin Lawrence's cousin, and I think it's either his cousin or his sister, one of the two, and just to make it personal. And I guess like that's just kind of bad plot, because I mean, someone's like your friend when they're dating your family. Like really, like no one can do that with me because I don't have any female cousins. I mean, I do on my father's side of the family, but like no, where I'm living right now, I don't have to worry about that. Like I have a friend who's dating one of his friend's cousins, and it's just like, yeah, I'm a part of your family. We're so close. That's the kind of thing that this movie does, and it's just like, yeah, we get that they're close, but I mean, do they have to be that close? That's just like big deal. I mean, it just Will Smith kind of fits that role, and he really does. Now, this part in the film, it's like the intro to the film, and you can kind of tell that just because it's like, well, it's just like a start to the movie. Like it's almost like movies are kind of like you can just tell that this is a movie. I mean, how serious? I don't know how many cops you would see that would actually sing like the Bad Boys. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something that you got to pay attention to. But the action in this movie is is really good. Um, Now, what's going on is the film is starting to heat up. I did not look up information on the film this time. I know that the reason probably why it took 8 years for them to make this film is because um I think the reason why it took 8 years is because partially that they were saying, well, we don't know if people want it, and Will Smith was busy, and they didn't want to do something half-assed. Now, really, I mean, the film came to fruition. I mean, Will Smith was doing a movie every summer. I mean, he really was. He was like in 2002, he had something I don't remember. I think it was Men in Black 2. In 2001, I mean, he was there every year of the early 2000s. Like 2004, he had iRobot. 2005, he had Hitch. 2006, he had. I mean, he also did Enemy of the State. He was there every year, and the best part about that was these action films that he was doing got him considerable stardom. Like I bet for a short time, Will Smith was one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. They say that his gross at the time was absolutely up there. Like, he's probably one of the richest black actors next to The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. And I mean, considering that, he's also one of the youngest. So, I mean, he was doing really well for himself. And the thing I think about it is whether or not you like Will Smith. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he decided to be in a rated R movie because the thing about it was that most of the time Will Smith, one of Will Smith's catchphrases is "Oh hell no," and um it's not necessarily like it's not necessarily fucking uh, uh, that's the thing. Like Martin Lawrence is kind of like the person that takes most of the flack. You know, like in Wedding Crashers, how everything would happen to Vince Vaughn. That's kind of how it is with this. Martin Lawrence is like the guy that everything happens to. And like I mean, he's just got that character. Like certain people have characters that when things happen to them, it makes people laugh because of the way that they react to it. And it's actually like Will Smith cannot be like that because that doesn't suit his character. And I mean, whether or not you've noticed this or not, but I mean, he's never done that in any of his movies. I mean, he's not comedy relief, and like Martin Lawrence is almost like on the borderline of comedy relief just because of the shit that happens to him. And like I mean, another movie, I mean, he in National Security he was pretty serious, but I mean, it's just like that because he's paired up with Will Smith. I mean, that actually works, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. Now, The therapy, like, it's just they basically said that in itself. Like, they both had therapy. Martin Lawrence just reacts differently to things, and you're gonna see that in this film. That's the kind of shit. I mean, if you're saying, well, who would I rather be? Who would I rather be, Martin Lawrence or Will Smith? I'm gonna go ahead and say that like 7 out of 10 people would say Will Smith, just because he's like a natural guy that people flock to. Will Smith is popular. I mean, thing was he was popular. I mean, it's been 6 years since he's been in a good movie. I mean, I don't count Men in Black or his movie with Jaden Smith anything, and that's the kind of thing that you gotta say, like, really. But he was popular, and I mean, it is disappointing when like someone they're taking X, like really. It's just the type of thing, like, I forget like the name of what they call these clubs, but the thing is that they call them, I forget, like, I don't even remember, but you know, it's just like you do the thing, really. I mean, everyone's been to one of these things. A rave, I think that's what it's called. That's what it's called, a rave. People dancing, taking X, all types of shit. Kind of reminds me of Limitless almost. You know, like they just say, all right, we're gonna pop some pills, do our thing. Like, I watched Spring Breakers the other day, and the thing about Spring Breakers was that it's popular and everything, but like the thing about it is it isn't about spring break. It actually becomes about these girls getting into more than they can chew, and it's just like, I mean, Gucci Mane is in the film, and he tries to like incorporate the trap into the film. Like, I mean, they don't. The movie doesn't center on it that much, but I mean, Gucci Mane makes it look like, you know, I'm from the trap, and this is about territories, and you crossing the wrong dude. And it's just like, you know, really, I mean, how many movies do you know that talk about the trap? It just doesn't happen. And like the thing is, it's really different. I mean, this was Gucci Mane's breakout film, so he's gonna naturally talk about what he's doing. That's the kind of thing that happens. You can OD. Now, this part is actually pretty funny. I mean, this is the way you want to live. This is what I'm trying to get to right here. Not necessarily having like an above ground pool, but to live in like Florida or wherever these cats live and just really go at it. Like, the only thing I don't like is that this is actually a black movie, and I know you're saying, well, X, you should like that, but don't get racial with me. But like, the thing is that sometimes, you know, white actors only have white people in their movies, and black people do the same thing, and it's just like, you know, like, they have black families, and you know that's not necessarily always the case. It happens that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole family's black, you know, but I don't know. It just, but luckily the film is a centerpiece. I mean, they're just cruising this summer. Like, he's sick of them. they kind of established it that like Martin Lawrence is like sick of Will Smith, and I mean that's kind of, I mean it's unfortunate, but like it's just he kind of like he kind of cautions it to saying, hey, I'm not. Now, this is what I'm talking about, how the relationship gets established and everything, and like he's becoming part of the family. Really, if you ever have this problem, like if you're saying like I've got a best friend and he's looking at my cousin like that, I mean, just the only thing I can say to that is just play it like, you know, I don't know. I guess I really wouldn't know how to question that because it'd just be like, I know that we're close, but I don't think that we have to, like, we're getting ready to be blood, and that's something like, I mean it's just like, you know what I'm saying, you got to really pay attention to that sort of thing. Now this is kind of where things start to heat up, but I think that's Gabrielle Union. I'm not sure. Like I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that that is. Now I actually do like black women. You know, like that's the thing. Like I don't talk about it as much, but like Tyra Banks is definitely a cute number, and there are a couple other ones like can't really think of them in particular, but I think Ashanti's kind of cute, and people say that Aaliyah was cute, but I don't know. I like Maya a little bit, and these are just, I know I'm just getting into singer. I like Lil Kim. Like really, I mean you can't lie. Like Lil Kim, I don't even care about her cheeks and her nose. Like she is Lil Kim works magic, and it's just as long as I'm seeing all an all black cast. Yeah, like that totally just ruined everything. Miller Genuine Draft. Like I've been sipping Bailey's Irish, and like I'm gonna go ahead and call it like I see it. Like I thought it was worth it, but like a bottle of it cost $20, and I don't get tanked off. I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you straight up that I used to be able to drink 30 shots of vodka. Like there used to be like something called like Aristocrat vodka. Maybe you've heard of it, like the $10 gallon. That's what I used to drink, and I used to be able to have 30 shots of that and still be able to function. And like it never went away. And no matter what I do, I mean, I don't like yeah, I used to drink, but like the thing is that I just don't like not being, I mean, I understand that like getting tanked every day. I mean, there's something wrong with that, but like, if you can't get fucked up off a $20 bottle of alcohol, that's pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, I mean, it's just like, it's ridiculous. So, like, the only thing for me to drink is beer, and I think beer tastes awful. Like, I really do. Like, I've had beer and it doesn't work. And it's just like, I just have an insatiable need to be zonked out of my mind. And, like, really, it's not a complete thing, but it's just something that the movie's starting to heat up. I can't remember like exactly what goes on, but they're really getting things together. She's actually involved in the plot. Loot, 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 loot. You gotta love it. I mean, I can't think of anything else that. I mean, what can you consider that's finer than loot? I mean, there's only so many things. And the problem with it is once you have it, what do you complain about? Like really, people. I mean, I've noticed people complain about things, and they say like, "Oh my God, I don't have weed. My girlfriend's cheating on me. I don't. My car sucks." Like these are things that people complain. I hate my job, but then when you get these things, then what? Like that's like almost like the agreement that I'm faced with, and I think about it quite a bit. I mean, really, here I am on my eighth movie, and I'm still trying to find like my next hit. I feel like I'm a freelance MP3 artist. You know what I'm saying? Like just trying to like I just got signed because I'm getting 60 views a day, and um I'm busy trying to find my next hit. And I mean, like really searching for it, folks. I'm not gonna lie. Like you say that that's part of the fun, but I mean, it's just when you put in work to something and it doesn't take off, it does take a little bit of your energy. And like it's just a small time bid that makes you say like, God, it's just it doesn't piss me off, but it's just like, God damn it. Yeah, like that sort of thing. That's what you want to say when it happens. I mean, it's just like if you were to spend money and then the next day they say 50% off. That like that kind of shit makes you say, God damn it. And I mean, that's just all it fucking is. I mean, any person that's anybody has had one of those moments. And like really, I mean, it's beautiful. Like really, I mean, I did Riddick, and that's ridiculous. But the movie is standard action, and I mean, like that's the thing I like about it is that the budget was considerable. Like they don't run out of ideas. There's lots of action, and there actually is lots of things. I mean, look at these Rasta dudes right here. I'm going to start dressing like some of these cats. Like I'm so glad that April's coming up in like 3 days, so I can get some clothes and do the thing. But I think this takes place in California. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that because like that's something that I think, but like the main part about it is that lots of action. I mean, if you're definitely looking for something that I mean, I don't necessarily know movies that were similar to this, but I do know that there probably were quite a few of them. I mean, this is just another buddy cop flick, and the reason why I like buddy cop flicks is because usually the contrast between the characters is usually quite good. Like a movie that I'm thinking about doing somewhere in the near future is 48 Hours because I like Eddie Murphy. And that guy flipped all over the place. Like they've got plans and they've got plans. But I mean, they really use their environment to their own good. That got really fucked up. Now you're probably wondering, like, okay, do these cops keep it in control? And like, I am gonna say that like most cop movies, they do fuck up, and they start, and it's like one of those things where they say, if you get on this case, it'll be your badge, just to make things a little bit more personal. Like, I mean, that's like the only thing that they can do is say, when it gets to that, it's like, okay, if you interfere in this case, and we know that you're the only ones that can solve this case, it's your badge. Like, really, anyone else, if this was real life, even if that person were like the people that could solve the case, they don't do it because they don't want to lose their job. Like, because there's too much of a risk. I mean, if you only had a 30% chance to score a job, if you only had a 30% chance to solve a case, but you knew that you were probably the only person that could do it, would you do it? I mean, that's the kind of shit. I mean, and this is, I mean, I could say, even if, I could say this to all my cop fans out there. I mean, because I'm not gonna, um, I'm not gonna discriminate and be like, oh, well, I don't think I have any fans that are in the field of criminal justice, because I get the feeling one day, if not already, I'm going to have a few of those. So I mean, it's just, what would you do? Would you risk your job just for one case, or would you say, fuck it, I'm going to let? I mean, it's just a couple people that are going to have to die. I mean, that's it. I mean, really, these cops wouldn't screw up, but I mean, it's the way it goes. There's lots of shit that goes on. But I mean, luckily, there's not any bullshit concerning, like, he's not my partner and I don't like this dude. I mean, they actually, they're friends, but they're kind of like at a point in time where it's like they're not going to be friends much longer. And certain people get into that situation where it's like, I'm tired of this, I'm sick of you, something bad happens every time I hang out with you. I mean, believe it. I mean, these type of situations actually do exist where people say, hey, every time I hang out with you, something bad happens to me, I'm kicking you to the curb. I mean, really, who can you blame? Is it their fault or is it your fault? And that's the only thing that you got to say. Like, I mean, I've never had that situation, but then again, my luck is like a testimony to myself. I mean, I have luck in the strangest places. Like, I may not be able to win I may not be able to win $5,000 in poker, but like I could probably get like 3 green lights in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know you're saying like, oh, holy shit, like that's not lucky, but I mean, it's just luck in different places. I mean, that's just a small example of what my luck has. Or like, if I was gonna buy a movie, there being one copy of that movie left. That's the kind of luck that I have. I mean, luck is undefinable. I mean, really, there's all sorts of luck. I mean, like people say, like if you're into God and that sort of thing, like you say, it's not luck that's stepping in, it's God. But like the thing about it is that there's luck is not one subject. It really isn't. It's like a whole bunch of shit. Like just like that right there. I don't know. Like I guess I couldn't say that, but Like the luck of Gabrielle Union not dying. I mean, really, she fought off like three guys, and she just managed to stay alive, and she managed to drive and not wreck her car. Like the whole time. Like it's ridiculous. Like I'm saying that like that sort of luck applies, and that's just it. I mean, I don't give two shits about it, but I mean the sequence actually does get good. I'm thinking about doing Fast Five because I've been doing IMDb and I've just been going. And the thing about it is on Internet Movie Database. I don't care if you call it database or database, but it's just easier to say Internet Movie Database. It just I don't know. But on that website, it just lists movies. Like there's 300,000 movies that are in existence, and the top 1,000 movies I'm starting to find that I actually have them. And I mean, it's just ridiculous because like the movies that I wouldn't think are popular actually are. And I'm trying to decide like whether or not like now this driving scene is like cost some money just to do this. Like I mean, what happens if they don't like they notice how they're not talking much? I mean, because if they were, they'd have to do these scenes a considerable amount of times, and I know that they don't have that much money for cars. So, like, I don't care if you think about it or not, but I think the word iller is actually a word because that used to be my name on MySpace. Illest turn iller. And I got that from a big song, and it's just like Notorious B.I.G. And the thing about it was, like I typed that in before, and they say, "Oh, not a word," like it's considered misspelled. But like the thing about it is I don't know which one you consider the better word, the flyer word, but is sick, sick or ill, and I say ill personally, but there are times when I'm like, yeah, that's pretty sick. Like really. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, like, I don't consider like the script out of place. Like the thing, I really don't, cause puckered up my butthole. I guess you do kind of have to be shameless like that, though, really. But like they said, fuck that shit. We're just gonna stop. Look at all those wrecked cars. I mean that kind of shit could happen. I mean, really, you're not considering the extremity. I mean, the movie does not portray how dangerous this actually is. I mean, people could die in this chase scene just because they're dropping cars off of a fucking tow truck, whatever they call those things. And, like you could die. I mean, if a car hits you and you're going at 80 miles per hour, it's going to smash your windshield, you're going to crash, and you're going to have injuries. Like, I mean, the car explodes, but that's not the half of it. Like, the car is gonna get crunched, and if you're inside, like, I mean, Paul Walker just died to something like this. Like, really, I mean, that's the kind of shit that happens. It actually is pretty fucking dangerous. Now, Martin Lawrence is actually like a fly dude. I mean, like the thing about it is he has not been in movies lately. I mean, he really hasn't, and like I mean, I don't know what it is about black actors and just as of the 2000 teens, we really haven't seen too many prominent black actors. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, besides Jamie Foxx being in the occasional movie, I mean, it's just blissfully abysmal. And I can't think of anyone. I mean, I go to Internet Movie Database, and the most popular black actor is The Rock, and he's at rank 207. You know, it's just really there's a significant drought of black actors going on. I mean, like every black person that was funny is gone. Like Dave Chappelle, Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, Chris Tucker, Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, you know, all these cats, they're not doing anything. And Anthony Anderson, you know, like none of these cats, they're not doing shit. They've all just decided to sit on their ass and they're just like, fuck, you know, I'm lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, that's just the pure answer. And really, you can't fucking say anything else about that. I mean, it's just like you're seeing Jason Sudeikis and Kevin Bacon and all these standoffish white guys that are in like the the per like they're in the top. But I don't know, it's different because like there's no one that I could say that's like funny that's like, you know, that's someone that I have respect for. And like really, I mean, it's just, I don't want this to be like a fad. But see, look what happens, you know, they're in bad 22 cards, like I mean really like the boss is mad, Martin Lawrence is fed up, and uh, now the reason why I'm stopping talking is because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Like really, I mean, it's just like okay, you know, they're in a particular bad point, and it's like forget it. You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of shit actually fucking applies, and it's just like what you think is exactly what I think. Like things are going bad, and like I mean, it's not just in they're not in up shit creek though. It's just like okay, what are we gonna do now? It's time to start kicking ass again. they're like, yeah, just do what you have to fucking do. Now look at all that loot. I mean, really, what would you do with something like that? Like that probably must be like at least 8 million in that room. I don't know, like that it could probably be more. If that's in hundreds, that could be like 20 million. Just the whole money room. Like really, I don't know what rich people do. Like I don't know, like that's the only problem. Like I suppose, like I've heard about Swiss bank accounts and all that type of shit, but like, you know, do they actually keep it? Do they keep it around? I mean, because like they say, bank when like gas stations and shit like that, they say well, we've only got $200, is because they don't want to get robbed, and that's it. That's just it right there. I mean, I guess banks are like the only thing to do. I mean, I think that's almost foolish to have that much money sitting around. I mean, I don't care if you've got like the most arms dealers on the planet. Like really, it's just it doesn't work. Yeah. That's some Dawn shit. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Like that's the thing I like about. I like it. It's my favorite part when like villains have like a sense of grace about them, and they're not like just common street thugs that you find so much these days. Because I mean, I listen to rap music, but it just seems like a lot of rappers these days are just no more than just common thugs that just happen to get lucky. Like that's all they are, is just a bunch of common thugs that got a cool $1 million, and now they've manifested. Like, and I like it when they like say shit like I'll cut your balls off if you say something wrong to my daughter, because it's like I missed that part. Damn it. Would have been funny. No. Like the Rasta guy was like, "You're gonna have to do something for me," and they're just like, they're like, "Fuck that, we ain't nobody's bitch." I mean, really, that's just the only thing you can say. But like, really, I mean, they actually are finding out about it. I mean, The only problem is that there's no room for bullshit. Like there's no kind of like Rush Hour was like Chris Tucker had like the hookups, and it was like, okay, he's gonna talk to a few of these guys, talk like he usually talks, and that's gonna be it. But it doesn't happen this time. I think they just wanted to keep like the emphasis on action. I mean, when movies do that, there's really not a problem, and I've been kind of like in the balance between doing action and comedy movies. Those have been like the two areas that I'm doing, and you're probably noticing that like X, you haven't done any movies for the ladies. Like, I mean, Harold and Kumar and Austin Powers and Riddick and National Security, all those movies would fly, but what am I supposed to watch with my girl, yo? Like, I understand that. Like, women like a certain different style, and I'm kind of appealing to guys, but I mean, if you think about it, women could actually watch Bad Boys 2 because they're probably saying, well, Will Smith's hot, and women like to get stoned, so they're saying, yeah, like, I mean, stoner women are probably saying, yeah, Harold and Kumar is the shit. Clerks, like they like Clerks. I know they did. They could find it, they'd like it. So that's just it. Haitians. I actually don't think I would want to go to Haiti or Cuba. I don't even think it's called Haiti. I think it's like Little Haiti. I forget how you say it, but I don't think so. I mean, cause like a reggae tone is supreme in places like there, and like you just gotta know the lifestyle. I mean, you're probably saying you could fit right in, but then again, I'm talking about like I really don't think that. I mean, now this one's just bad. Oh shit. That's it. Like this is where it gets interesting. Like it's just the way it goes is they're just trying to say like this is balls to the wall, and when that sort of thing happens, what you gotta say is like what he was saying. Like he's talking to the dead guy right now, and like now what's going on is But really, what you gotta say is, like, yeah, I mean, I'm just busy trying to figure out what I'm going to do next, and that's always like a main plot, is just what will I do, and when will I do it. And like the situation is, things just got better, and they found out what's going on. Now, the production of the movie is really good. I think they probably filmed this somewhere in 2002. I mean, I'm sure that they did, and it was just like a surprise hit. I mean, I don't. The internet was really young back in 2002, so it was like, hey, we want this movie, and we really do. So what you're probably saying is, how much how much can you actually say? And I think they do like a gay bit, and I kind of remember that. Like, I mean, like you're kind of saying, like, is this gonna start getting funny? Yeah, yeah. Like, it's just a little bit of funniness right there. And if you notice to the song, that's Dr. Dre. You should probably, like, I mean, stoners everywhere fuck with Dr. Dre. I mean, he used to be like the man. And the thing is, I've actually considered like doing the movie The Wash. Like Dr. Dre and Eminem and Snoop Dogg were all in a movie together, and I never actually picked it up, but it was called The Wash, and I used to remember listening to a song from the soundtrack. Yeah. Uh, but the film actually is not slowing down, and that's like the beauty of it. I mean, they're probably saying, "Well, where's Gabrielle Union? Where's like the plot turns?" But I mean, they just had an action scene. So like, what's going on is they're establishing what to do next. It's kind of like, like you get the disc, and now you're loading the disc to find out the infrastructure of the building. That's kind of what's going on right now. Now, what's basically going on is we're figuring things out, and really, I mean, this actually was a bomb film in 2003. I think it actually, I don't know the gross that it made, but I'm sure it was probably one of the highest grossing movies of the summer. I mean, like, it didn't have very much competition. I can't remember. Like, the only other movie I really remember from summer 2003 is Charlie's Angels 2. And Charlie's Angels Full Throttle, it was just like, yeah, okay. But rats. You kind of think, why are you living in the sticks? I guess it's part of like the pay that's going on. Like really, you gotta almost live low key because if you didn't, people would bust you. And really, I've heard before that some. I don't remember where I heard it, but someone was like, "I can't live unless I'm living illegal." I think it was Limitless that said that, and they were like, "Well, I can't be alive if I'm not doing things on the illegal side of things." And I don't know about that, but like most of the time the villains in a film are just really kind of two bit. Like they don't like it's almost like you couldn't see like the villain like when's the last time you saw a movie from the villain's perspective? I mean, besides Scarface, when's the last time that you saw something like that? I mean, are there movies that are like that? Somewhat, but I mean, it's just like Bad Boys could have had spin-offs. They really could have. And I mean, I guess like really to say like this guy right here, would you really want to see a spin-off of his movie? Well, the answer is kind of, but not really. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem as feasible. But he's this seems like a standard villain from Miami Vice, and like the movie pays homage to like the beach. Like it really does. It pays homage to the beachside villainy that happened in Miami Vice. Just by the way he dresses in that suit with those pastel colors, you'd think that he was straight out of the 80s. And really, back in 2002, people that were 15, 18 in the 80s were only 33, 35. So it was like, yeah, people born in the 60s were just in their 30s at this point. So it was like the ones that when they flourished in the 80s, it was almost like, yeah, I mean, I like shit and I have fun. And that's just one thing about it. But for some reason, I just think it would have been better if there would have been like two villains in this. Because, I mean, Daredevil did that. And I know you're saying, well, are you ever going to do Daredevil? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, with superhero movies, I've got Thor, Dark World laying right next to me. And, like, the thing is, I'm kind of partial to doing it. But I'm not like the superhero movie guy. Like, if you can forget that. Just because I do Let's Plays doesn't mean, like, I'm into the whole culture as a whole. Like, that's the thing. I'm really not. And, I mean, even though it's not bad, I'm not going to be the guy that's like, oh, okay, I'm doing Goonies. I'm doing, like, I mean, I like Brain Scratch comms, but they don't venture outside of, like, movies that have to do with things in that field. Like anything that you would see at Vintage Stock is probably a movie that they would do. Like cards, comics, and video games, that's pretty much the kind of movies that they're doing. Something wants me to say that Will Smith looks cute in um a a rat a rat cleaning outfit. I'm not you can obviously tell that I'm not a homo, but like I don't know, it's just certain people look good in white. I mean, it's just it works. I have no problems admitting that a man is attractive. I mean, I really don't. It's not. I mean, I'm not going to like be like, oh my god, you're gorgeous. But I mean, if he looks cute, I'll say, hey, you look good in that. That's about it. I mean, and you guys have yet to see what I look like. I mean, maybe when I get to like 50,000 or some shit like that views, I'll do it. I'll say that. Look at that wine glass. That was like a dictionary of wine glasses. He saws up hands. He just totally sawed that guy up. Huh. The race like they're just negotiating. It's just this type of shit from the criminal's point of view. I mean, think about it. He's trying to control the clubs. Like really, I mean, he's got this plug on ecstasy, and he's basically saying like, yeah, I want like I don't know how much. I mean, like the thing about it is when they usually look up like what is a drug lord's trade, like you never know like how much they're actually making. And then that's like the major thing about it is that well, are these drug lords making $50,000 a month or are they making $800,000 a month? Really, I mean, even that is abysmally low for a drug lord. I mean, considering that if they're making like $5 million a month, that's another thing. And like I mean, like I've seen so many movies. Like I've watched um all about the Benjamins, and then there was like this deal for these diamonds, and like they were killing each other, but it was just like I think those diamonds were probably worth like $50,000, and I mean they might not have been worth that, but like it just seemed like there wasn't many, and it's the same thing with Money Talks. It was just about diamonds and shit like that, and it was it was just like, hey, why are people fucking diving off of buildings and splitting heads open over $50,000? I mean, $50,000 will get you a hotel for 6 months. That's about it. Like, I mean, if you ever heard of 15 minutes of fame, like $50,000 is not shit. It really isn't. I mean, think about that for a little while. Like, I mean, that's just it. So like it just I mean maybe I mean if I saw a movie and it was like 1977 and they were like, well, $50,000, I would be a little bit different, but not in 2014. Or really even Yeah. You could say, how about some bean stew and tortilla chips? Like how about that? Like really, I mean, I have no. I actually love grape soda. I don't give a fuck. Like really, I don't even think that's like just a racial thing. I mean, really, if you have taste buds on your tongue, you have to like some drink. And I don't care what it is. Like a drink speaks to your tongue, and it's gonna make like I hate when I see people drink and they just let it as soon as it touches their tongue, they put the cup back. So it takes them like 3 hours to drink a drink. One glass of something. I hate that. Like, drink the fucking drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why that gets on my nerves, but it does. But it's just, I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say that because I don't want to appear needy or anything, but because like when I drink something, I actually drink it. And I don't know, like, if this makes me. I've heard words that they say when a man is horny, he's thirsty, and I don't want to appear thirsty, but it's just like if you're gonna eat something, then fucking eat it. You know what I'm talking about? But I had like there is drinks that speak to your taste buds, and grape soda does it, orange soda does it, strawberry soda does it, lemonade does it. Like any drink basically does it except for tea and water. And wouldn't it be known that those are the two healthiest drinks? I mean, I hate. I don't know. Like so the thing is, diabetes runs in my family, and I'm praying to God that I do not get diabetes in like 20, 30 years, even 50 years, because I'm a picky eater, and it's just like I really don't want to deal with having to eat salads and fucking cornbread every day of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like it would make me extremely mad. But they are in Miami, Florida. Like he actually likes Gabrielle Union. I mean, if I lived in Miami, I think I would kind of I can't think of the word like I can't think of the word. Seldom go into the water. It's pretty good. So now things are starting to heat up. Like you can pretty much establish that Gabrielle Union, they're gonna have to save her. Old quote. Don't hate the player, hate the game. like I don't know, like just hearing that, like really, I mean, I don't know if you want to go back to 2002, 2001 type shit. I mean, like the slanging type shit back then. I mean, I'm very unhip to popularity type things, and I'm trying to ease up on that. Like I'm trying to like seize the moment and take advantage. But I mean, like even video games that are popular, it's really hard to say like, yeah, I want to do this. And like that's like the biggest fucking problem is that I'm having to decide what I want to do that actually is popular. And I mean, like really all you need is a social circle. I mean, that's really all you need. And when they start saying, "Hey, let's get fucked up and watch Fight Club," like really, I mean, you could do that. Like really, I mean, you don't have to think twice. You don't have to say like, "Oh well, I've seen Fight Club about 50 times, man." But I mean, it's just I'm interested to see just like what people are actually watching these days because I mean, I don't have any outlets that tell me. I'm not. Mhm. I think they needed more moments like this in the movie. I mean, Martin Lawrence. I mean, the way he talks is just like they needed more moments just of him talking shit like that. Just doing his comedy thing, but the movie was too focused on like let's see. Yeah. Now things are starting to heat up, but then like the whole movie has been on fire. Like I mean, really, you should have no problem with watching like a summer flick. Like they usually say that like the holidays and summer are like the two best times of the year. Between May and July and November and December are like the two best times of the year. But the brilliant thing about movies is that really you don't have to say that you're not going to have a movie a month to see because I mean there were movies in January of this year that came out and were good. I mean there really were. There were movies in January. There are movies in February that are still in theaters, and there's been movies this month as of March like Need for Speed and all sorts of other ones. I mean it's just been ridiculous. I mean, just to be able to say, I mean, like the movie, I think that's just like huge, and I'm just really kind of surprised by how huge it is Frozen. I never really considered that. Here it comes. Thanks. Now, it makes you wonder who's the actual hero. Is it Mike Lowry? He's actually not terribly. But I don't know. Like this is a little bit, flagrant and not flagrant, but it happens. So I mean, basically, what went on like the whole time is that's what happened. And I mean, the movie actually does have a good plot. I mean, considering I like the background that actually went into this, and I know I was talking about Frozen, but I'll talk about Frozen before I get back. I'll talk about this first because that's easy to remember. Like the story, it really works, and the thing like I was surprised about is this. I mean, it's not like I'm starstruck by this fucking film, but it is it does have its moments, and that's like the major thing about it is that it keeps you tied in. And like if you're saying, well, can I watch this with my girlfriend? Like I'm getting ready to meet up with this girl, and she wants to watch a movie, so like, what should I pop in? Is this a safe film to watch with my girl? I'm 20 and I've got a girl coming over, or even better, I'm 16. I mean, if you're 16, yeah, you can watch it. But like if you're 24, 25, my age, like you gotta say like, I mean, it's just a little bit too much action. It's just a little bit too much guy moments. You know what I'm saying? Like really, I mean, Gabrielle Union is not in the movie enough to warrant you wanting to see this with a girl, and that's like the main problem. I mean, it's just like this is more something that you see with your homies. I mean, that's just what it seems like to me. I mean, that's really about all I can say. I mean, I've considered watching films with people, and like the main thing is just like you have to pick like the right film because I mean, it does matter sometimes. But out of all the movies I've picked, some of them have been pretty good. You know, a lot of them have. I mean, every one of them has been good in its own right, but what I'm trying to establish is that I have an audience, and I don't want to have like 500, 6,000, 20,000 subscribers, and every one of my comments is a guy, you know. And I don't just want people that, and I'm not dissing anybody that does this, but like I don't want just Magic the Gathering people to be my fan base. Like, oh well, Xenor, he's just, like that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to establish that, like, yeah, I'm for everybody, and that's what you should want, really. I mean, like Nintendo Capri Sun said this once, and he was like, I'm going to appeal to my fans that have a life before my fans that don't have a life. And I mean, it may hurt your feelings, but I'm trying to get everybody. And that's the thing about it. So I'm going to do flicks that, like, now I've never done a film that had two black stars. Like, most of the time a film does not have more than two stars. Like, I mean, occasionally there will be three main characters, but for the most part it's one main character and the co-star. Sometimes they'll share it equally, but I mean that's just the way it is. I mean, every film that I've done has been white. And I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I'm black. I'm going to show some films that have black people in them. And so what better film to do that than another Martin Lawrence and then Will Smith, my first Will Smith film. That's kind of what I wanted to do, and so that's what we're looking at. And really, like just establishing that sort of thing, I know like most black people don't like Will Smith. And that's like the major thing about it. Like, like you could say like a black person who likes Will Smith is probably either 35 or is either like 35 or how or probably just like a kid. Like really, I mean Will Smith's fan base is, I mean Jaden Smith is like the same as Will Smith. If you know who Jaden Smith is, he's Will Smith's 15-year-old son. And I like Jaden Smith. Like, I mean, he's trying to get into music. I don't know if he sings or raps, but I mean, he's the exact same as Will Smith. I mean, it's just I'm interested to see like what's going to happen with that person, because like I mean, he could really, I mean, he could, like, I mean, sometimes like my father is smarter than I am. I mean, sometimes I think he's smarter than me, but at the same time, like I have more certain qualities that are better. And that's the sort of thing that I think is that like Jaden Smith is different than Will Smith, but they're kind of the same and the same thing. And it's just like, so what goes on? Like, what do you expect? I mean, really, I don't know. Like, really, I mean, people fuck with Martin Lawrence because he's funny. And, like, that's like the major thing. Martin Lawrence does not have to worry about credibility except for that Wild Hogs movie. That's like the only thing he did wrong was that, and he stopped making movies in like the late 2000s. Like after 2007, I think probably he was just done making films, and he just kind of watered himself down. I mean, Ice Cube did the same thing. Vin Diesel did the same thing. The Rock did the same thing. They all did it. They were just like, okay, I'll do a movie for children because I want kids to watch my movies when they grow up. I mean, I can't think of a single actor that I did that with when I was 5. I didn't watch movies when I was 5 and 6 years old. I can't think of any movies that I was watching in 1994. Like really, I mean, I can't. Like I remember seeing bits and pieces of Hook, and that's about it. I mean, I watched animated movies, but like I never really watched any actors, and I was like, I knew who Sinbad was, and that was about it. I mean, Sinbad just had a really short-lived acting career, and yeah. I think they store the X in these bodies. Now, like you're probably saying, like this was just a total wreck, but I mean, they do figure it out. I mean, this is one of those things where like the movie establishes that like, all right, strike one happened, strike two happened, and now before strike three can happen, they're gonna knock it out of the park, and it's gonna be a home run. They're basically saying this is the reason why they can't go after the villain has like established himself, and I mean anytime you can establish like being able to sue, I mean the legal system. I don't know, like really. I can't talk. All right, like really, what I'm thinking is that what's going to go like he basically just said like it's over. Martin Lawrence looks a little bit like Forrest Whitaker, and they actually do. They still chill and everything. I mean, you're probably saying, is there gonna be a Bad Boys 3? But basically, like, I mean, you're saying like, okay, how tired are these guys? There is going to be a Bad Boys 3, I think. I mean, the only problem is that anytime when like a movie takes 10 years off, there's just like a direct change. Like you can't say that like they're young and ballin' anymore. Like I mean, really, in 1995, these guys were like 4 years older than me. Just like, hey, in 4 years, you're probably gonna be doing the same shit that we do. That's the thing. It was. It was just like that's the way they were, and um, like now look at this dude. When you see him, the dude that made it in this film, he just seems like he's straight out of the neighborhood. You know, really. I mean, he's tall. He probably plays basketball. I mean, now what if Will Smith talked like this? Now, really, if you're saying like, why doesn't Will Smith talk like this? That's all right. You know, like really, I mean, I'm kind of paying attention to the film a little bit more than I should be, but like, really, I mean, it actually is interesting. You're saying like, oh, okay. I mean, he 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 was probably high when he made this. He's just like, oh, what the fuck's going on? But like, I mean, now things are starting to get interesting. Like, Marcus gets some ecstasy in him, and he starts acting like really funny. And like, there's only like another 15 minutes left in the film, but um, a lot happens in those minutes. So I mean, that's basically everything, but we're not quite done yet. Now, me looking at the Bad Boys 2 box, it actually looks a lot flyer than what you may think. Like Martin Lawrence looks he looks fly as hell in that on the cover of the DVD. And that's just the way that I see myself dressing, but more so than hip hop dressing these days, I've been finding myself dressing like Rasta clothing, and I think that yeah, I mean I'm not necessarily like from Zion or anything like that, but I do like the kind of clothing that goes on with that, and I definitely think it's a plus. Really, I mean you can definitely can So like it's just another. I mean, if you're saying like, okay, well, how does this film compare to the original Bad Boys? Well, it actually works, and it like I mean the thing I love is when like a sequel comes out and it doesn't drop the ball. And I know you're saying, well, that's everybody's favorite, but I mean sometimes it actually does. I mean I've seen movies where they just cut and paste the same scenarios that happen. Like the if there's two heroes, the heroes get into a fight and they have to spend the movie getting out of the fight. And I mean like I like Jackie Chan movies, and my family has recommended that I do some Jackie Chan movies, and eventually I will do a few of those. But the thing is that like Shanghai Nights, I didn't like because it was just like Shanghai Noon, and I know it's just like, well, that's kind of cheesy, but I mean, what can you do, honestly? I mean, that's the only thing I can think is basically that shit right there, and it compares. I mean, the Bad Boys 1 was good. Like, I mean, it deserved a sequel in 1997. Like, Wayne's World had Wayne's World 2 in 1993. Like, a year after Wayne's World came out, the sequel came out. Like, they just did it back to back. And, like, that's just it. I mean, yeah. But like that's just about it. I mean, there is like a voluptuous woman that shows up here in about like 5 seconds, and like you gotta say like, you know, like really. I mean, that's like the only thing I can think is just holy fuck. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, look at that girl. They found it. They found it right there. Now, really, there's not terribly much left in the film, but like another thing that I'm trying to figure out is what kind of movies am I going to do? And like that's like the main thing. I know you're saying like X, you talk about this all the time, but yeah. But I mean, the movie actually is as good as Bad Boys. I mean, it doesn't have Tia Leone. I think that's how you say her name, Tia Leone, Julie from Bad Boys 1, but I guess really they didn't have anything to do with her. And like the thing about it was that she I don't like they made it seem like she liked Mike Lowry, and she liked Will Smith, and like that sort of chemistry, it doesn't happen this time. Like really, Will Smith is in a relationship, he's not. I mean, it's just like it's different like when you're in your 30s, because it's like, hey, I'm kind of above just going out and dating any girl that comes around. And like Will Smith calmed down a lot because you could just tell he was wild from um Bad Boys. Like really, I mean, when Will Smith was popping up in movies left and right, I mean, the thing about it was he was doing Fresh Prince, and he was doing Fresh Prince, and Percolate. but but they don't want to get suspended. So they did it. That's some money right there. Now, Marcus took a drink and he's starting to feel kind of funny. Now, ecstasy. Really, I mean, for all you 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, if I've got any, even 12-year-olds that are like, I want some X and I want to lay up to a woman like that woman that Martin Lawrence was laying next to. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, I heard that it's either that or acid, but it's bad for your spine. Like, I heard that like it fucks up your spine. That's like the only thing, and you can overdose from it. Like, I have no problem with getting high as long as you don't overdose, because here's the problem. What happens when you build up an immunity to it? And your body does. Like, when you do drugs, it starts to build up an immunity. And like that doesn't change that having that amount will make you overdose. Like, I learned in like the movie Blow or some other movie that they said so much cocaine will make you overdose. And taking that sort of shit is kind of like, doesn't matter if like snorting 8 lines of cocaine doesn't get you high anymore. That doesn't change that you ingested it, and you can overdose even if you built up an immunity. I think, I'm not entirely sure, but that's just for all my drug heads out there that like are watching this, because I understand that like not everyone is a white kid in the suburbs. I understand that that's not all my fans, because I've got fans in Jamaica and Peru and and Thailand and Hong Kong and every fucking country under the sun. So it's like, everyone's fucking different. Really, I mean, it's up to you, but just know your balance, because if you don't, you're gonna fuck up. Now, the thing about this is that um it's hard. I mean, Martin Lawrence kind of acted out the role. I mean, he just he acted out like he was being on ecstasy. And like, I remember watching, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I've watched Friends, and like there's been times when like one of the people talked and he talked because like he was allergic to something and his tongue got all numb, so he had to talk like I'm gonna go to the store. Like he would talk like that, and I said I'm going to go to the store. But like I mean, it's not terribly hard, but just the fact that you have to, just when acting roles kind of put you into that sort of situation, I mean, it does show that you're a good actor just because you can do it. Like, like really, I have chipped a tooth from getting drunk, but I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just saying, I guess it's not that big of a deal. I don't know why I said that, but like really, yeah, he just drank the water out of. I don't know if that's necessarily bad. But I mean, this is basically the end of the film. This is like the home stretch. And a lot of times the home stretch is like one of my favorite parts, but sometimes it's just like it's kind of bad because it usually is just like a huge shootout. A bunch of people get shot and the hero usually wins. But I mean, you get what you pay for, and I mean, like the movie is watchable. I mean, the thing I look for in movies more than anything is a movie that I'm gonna watch more than one time. Not just a movie I'm gonna watch and I'm just gonna put it on the shelf and say I never want to see it again. Like Friday and Rush Hour and Austin Powers, I can watch time in and time out because those are good movies. And I mean, the thing I hate about it is that any movie that I've seen within like the past 3 years, I can't say that about. I mean, there's just very few movies I can say that like I actually want to watch it. But I mean, Bad Boys 2 does a great job, and that's like the brilliant part about it is that it actually says, yeah, yeah, but things are starting to get interesting. Like sometimes I wonder like which actors are taller than me. That's something that I wish that IMDb did. Was it told you what movies were tall? I mean, what actors were taller than you and which actors weren't. And I think one of the tallest actors that I know is Vince Vaughn. He's 6'5", and like Will Smith is like 6'1", 6'2", and Martin Lawrence is like my height. He's like 5'8", and I hate the fact that I'm short, but it's just I mean, I'm just proportionate. That's like the thing about me. I'm not like if you're taller than me, you're tall. If you're shorter than me, you're short. I'm just like a lot of times like the hero is not the tallest person. Like I mean, I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, for some reason, like the hero is always the person who's like not the tallest and not the shortest, and I kind of think that that fits my perspective a little bit. But if you pay attention to the shit that's going on here, it's just like, you can tell it's the end of a movie just because of the way that things get dramatic. I mean, like it's just the story of them taking down some ex dealer. That's all it is, like that's all it has been. It's not necessarily tales of these guys, it's a tale of this guy of these guys. That's like the only problem is that, I mean, besides that small little racial act in the beginning, we didn't really get to see terribly many things. I mean, the Haitians, you're saying, well, yeah, the Haitians had something to do with it, but I mean, it was just a side hustle. You know what I'm talking about? And that really kind of goes without saying. So I've been recording for 2 hours, and this is probably like the longest movie commentary I've done, and it's kind of starting to wear on me a little bit. Like, I mean, really, I can do a movie, but it's just really fucking hard to do a movie that's longer than 2 hours. I mean, to talk with you guys for 2 hours, that just takes considerable shit out of my um it takes considerable fare out of my clock. And I mean, luckily the movie is on the home stretch, but I mean, you could definitely watch it and enjoy it. I mean, Gabrielle Union, you're probably saying, like, I mean, I think I would kiss her a couple times, like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, like, really, I mean, I was watching Beautiful Stranger by Madonna, and Austin Powers makes a cameo in the music video. And in the video, like, Madonna is turned on by Austin Powers. Like, she's only seen one movie by him, and she's like, yeah, I like Austin Powers like that. She really liked him. She was rubbing her butt on his face. She was unzipping herself in front of him. She was humping him. She was just doing everything to him. And, like, that sort of thing, I guess I could say, like, I wouldn't have a problem with Gabrielle Union doing that. And that's just, I mean, I guess kind of I would, but at the same token, I almost wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. Like, really, I like Gabrielle Union, but not as much as I like Natalie Portman. And that's just the way it goes. I mean, she's definitely one of the prettier black girls that I've ever seen, but that doesn't change anything. Tyra Banks, yeah. I mean, 100 million. So I mean, they established, like, hey, like, that's something. Now that scene right there, you saw in like the shake your tail feather video. Like, it's where Martin Lawrence looks all serious and he's got that mean mug look on his face. Like, you saw that on the music video. Like, this was a flick of 2003. It really was. Even if it wasn't controversial, it did have a lot of action. And I mean, some people are thrill seekers. Like, people that are like, I hunt tornadoes, and like, they just see movies. Like, people that just love movies, they're probably gonna like something like this. But I really don't care about cars crashing into cars and how real it is. I mean, the thing I care about is the fact that, like, the car flipped over his head and it flipped over the car. Like, that's better than just cars crashing. Really, I mean, if it's gonna be a stunt, it has to be something that's like believably unreal and but worked. Like, almost like if you were to flip a quarter and it were to land on its side. Like, I mean, that's never gonna happen, but I mean, that type of shit, I mean, that's it. That's it. Now, I have buff forearms. I really do. And I've noticed that like Will Smith, like some certain actors you can like see the veins in their muscles and it makes you wonder like if they just computer generate that or they actually are that in shape because I mean it's just Will Smith was doing his thing. I mean, I'm a person that if you were to see me, you can't see the veins in my forearms. And it's just because I think like when you get super muscular after they've kind of chiseled out, you're not able to see the veins. And like that's just the way it is. You cannot see the veins in my arms. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. And I had one of those those handle things that you can grab and it strengthens your forearms. And I used to do that all the time. And I really don't care about being muscular as much anymore, but like it is still something that like I have respect for people that are because like I mean, I do think to your credit you should take care of yourself and when you do that, it just establishes that like hey, like I mean really should the set I mean, I know that they say that like don't judge a book by its cover, but does that necessarily mean that someone that looks like a porcupine should get the best looking women? You know, like oh, I treat my body like shit, but I can get any woman on the block. You know, I don't like that because it's just they put the wrong fields. I mean, I don't want to discriminate against people that can't get women, but like it shouldn't be like a style to not take care of yourself. And that's like the thing that I think needs to be established. So that's why I don't have problems with people that take care of their fucking bodies. And it's just like yeah. They like the box really kind of misled you because it's long. It's not an hour and 47 minutes. It's actually 2 hours. But I mean, whatever. I mean, the movie's good. They're just saying. I mean, I thought that this point was over, but no, there's a little bit more. Kind of starts to get into some SOCOM shit, and oh my god, it looks so beautiful. This is what I live for. Like there was a Weekend song. If you don't know who the Weekend is, you definitely need to check him out. But there was a Weekend song, and he says, "This is the shit that I live for." And I mean, that's the kind of shit that I mean. Just seeing like the ocean like that, that's exactly what I live for right there. Just that summer weather against what's going on. Whew. This is really stretching my patience though. Like originally I was gonna do another movie, but I don't know if I'm going to still. But like he does actually have a lot going on and like I don't know the director of this film, but like it actually worked. You know, it did. And um it's amazing the kind of shit that you get into when you're rich. Like really, I mean, like some people, like they say, "Oh, I'm rich now. I'm gonna join a country club or some shit," and I don't know, like really. I mean, you'd be surprised at what you turn out to be into once you like it. Like I never dreamed in my wildest days that I would like tartar sauce, and like I ended up liking it one day, and it just it was different. Like there's no homo, but there's a lot of white sauces that I like, and I like tartar sauce. I love ranch. I like blue cheese, and there's like one other one, and I don't remember what it is, but mayonnaise. What it is, and all those are really good. I mean, I know how to eat, and the thing about it is that you can definitely count on knowing what to do. And like the thing about me is like I love Captain D's at times, and I also like um all sorts of shit. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be. It makes me sound like I'm pedestrian when I talk about Captain D's, because how many fucking rich people shop at fast food? You know, like I really can't say that. I mean, they probably just buy the recipes and make their own burgers. Really, I mean, I don't. It's just a problem that I'm going to start relating to very soon, and I'm looking forward to doing so. But like, they're just kind of showing like the villain's lavish estate, and like the thing being is that yeah, infiltrating these headquarters is a thing different. I mean, I like the fact that they didn't have him get arrested in Florida though, because it's just like, hey, I'm a little bit more prone to that. Just then, like okay, the good guys get serious, so I'm obviously done. Like there's certain times when it's like, okay, like like there would be cartoons where someone would be like they're like Ed, and Eddie. I'm just gonna go ahead and state the show, but like Ed didn't really have a problem with being ran until something was important to him, and then he started getting mad and everyone, and then he was the boss. Anytime you have a relationship like that, and it's like, you've got friends, and you run things until they're in a bad mood, and then it's like, oh my god, like I never realized his guy, like that's like you don't want relationships like that, and it's just like I'm kind of glad that they didn't do that, because it just would have been stupid. It really would have, it would have been that was good. I love when bodies fly like that. Like that's the kind of shit that happens in Halo, but like that sort of thing. Really, I mean, so now they're kind of having to try their patience a little bit. But I mean, this has got to be like the most gratifying thing. If I was filming Bad Boys 2 and they're like, okay, we've just got one more scene, and it's the scene where the villain dies, like I would be like, all right, let's get it fucking done. Like, I mean, shit, I'm doing work right now. I'm doing memorable fucking shit for YouTube. Like no one's done a Bad Boys 2 commentary yet. Like I am a pioneer, and I do give credit to Oliver Harper, but at the same time, like he's busy doing superhero flicks, and I'm just like, you know what? You can go ahead and do that, and I'll do these. I'll do every movie that I own, and uh, now what you can say about the film is basically like, okay, everything's getting destroyed. It's just a cop raid, and like if you shoot back, it's just, I mean, I don't understand like how they could have prevented this. I mean, really, if the guy could just sue these guys and win, I guess he knew that he couldn't win, so it was just over. And I guess that's like the only thing you can say about that is because um yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything interesting to say about that. It's just like they caught him, he's on the run, and lots of people are dying. Like, I really haven't seen terribly many movies with Gabrielle Union. Like, I mean, she was in Bring It On. I think she's like 40. Like, she was born in 1972 somewhere, and she's 40 years old, and she was like in her early 30s when this came out. And like, the only movie I can really remember is Deliver Us from Eva, and I saw that and it was just, I mean, that movie was, I probably won't do a movie commentary of that, even though I think some black women would like it. I mean, 'cause, I mean, I think black women like Gabrielle Union. Like, they think, okay, that's someone I look up to. Like, really, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't really know what black women are finding popular right now, because that's just something that like I'm unsure of. And like, Kim Kardashian is pretty close. I mean, you'd be surprised at how many women like Kim Kardashian. Like, really, she's like at the forefront right now. And like, all you have to do is just have a few high profile relationships. I mean, it's funny that like, if a if a guy like the guy like, okay, Kevin Federline, you know what I'm saying, he had sex with Britney Spears, and you don't hear about him fledgling anymore. Like, I mean, he, like, surprisingly, he was a hot topic in 2005, 2006, but I mean, what happened to him? You just don't hear about him anymore. And that's like the closest person I can think of to someone that was around, who just got together with a person and all of a sudden they're in the spotlight. Really, I mean, it's just like that's women's thing to do, is to get into a relationship with a man and get famous off of them. And Kim Kardashian has Ray J to thank for it. Really, I mean, just having a sex tape with Ray J is going to get you $3 million, $5 million for the rights to it, and is going to get you a reality show and a fragrance, fragrance, yeah, fragrance. But I mean, with Gabrielle Union, it's like, hey, really, she was pretty popular beforehand. She was in movies all over the place, and that's the thing about her, is that I heard that she was raped. I think that was, I looked her up on Wikipedia, and it said that like she got raped, and the person that raped her went to jail for 30 years. I'm pretty sure that that's what happened. And like, he gets out like in another 10 years, because 1994, that happened in 94, and it's been 20 years. So like, probably another 5 6 years he's gonna get out. And that's about pretty much all I know about her. Now, I don't know if she has, I don't know her measurements, and like, for the most part, you know, you could say 36, 22, 36, or whatever, something like that. I'm not good with measurements like that. Like, certain men, like, they could hear those numbers and say, "Yep, she's a diva." But I think it's I think it's boobs, waist, and then I don't know what the third one is. That's really what I think it is. But that's pretty much what it is. I mean, someone that I think what measurements I'm trying to look for. Like Kristen Johnson, yes, Ivana Humpalot measurements. Like I need the details for special research. You know what I'm saying? Special research called the Quarantine Projects, and this is where things start to get a little cheap. They're just going through all these fucking torn down houses. I really don't know where this is. Like, this is probably like in Haiti, little Haiti, someplace like that. Luckily, none of these places have insulated walls. But yeah, they just like this is why people say that's ghetto. Like I remember I used to hear that a lot. People would say, "Oh my God, that's so ghetto," and the reason why they say that is because usually houses in places like this look like ghettos are bad, and just even if they're not black people that live in them, they still are in places where black people are predominant, and so it's kind of like a stereotype. And it's an annoying one, really, but but I don't know where they fucking were if they're on U.S. soil. This is a lot like Grand Theft Auto a little bit. Look at this. They're just real prepared, you know what I'm saying? Like I think this is the end. And really this movie has gone on for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like, oh my god, like this is longer than I expected. This is really trying my patience. I don't know if I can do a third film or a second film today. But I've tried to keep it personal a little bit. Like I gave you some backstory on the film, but at the same time, I'm also thinking like, okay, how about some information? I mean, I think it's good to have a little bit of both. Like usually when they say there's a thin line between grace and um crude, it's like that's the same thing. Like there's a thin line between funny and rude, whatever you want to say. Um, it goes the same with this sort of thing. Oh shit. I wonder what happened to that gun. Yeah. Probably blows his body to pieces as well. Boom. That's about it. Like I don't want to get John Madden on you guys. Like I heard that he actually did that. I've never really paid attention to like a John Madden commentary, but yeah, kind of figured a John Madden commentary. Like really, I mean, when you guys say like, "Wow, you don't watch football? Like football is like for bros, bro. You gotta watch the pigskin." Well, like the thing about it is Cuba is where they were. Huh. Whew. That's it. Now, like, the movie isn't quite over. Like, they go back to the pool. That was one of the best parts of the film. Like, that type of beach type fun is, that's the shit. I mean, really, my overall thing about this film was, I mean, it carries you to the next point, and it does its job. I mean, if you're saying, like, hey, I need another movie, I need a buddy cop flick, well, you definitely got what you need. And you can count on that. I mean, I fully expect to say, well, it's fun, but at the same time, it's like, like, what was lacking? I mean, I think they needed more moments with Martin Lawrence just talking. Because, I mean, the man had some funny bits. Like, if they would just give him a few more roles instead of having a few more bodies get shot. Because, I mean, everyone's seen someone get shot in a movie. Like, really. And the thing about it is just like, alright, we get that you have a budget. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate when they have to reiterate that, because it's like, we get that you had $50 million going into this film. We get it, alright? We know that you can computer generate some person getting shot in the mouth, in the head. I mean, really, they should have focused on the conversation a little bit more. Had more scenes like where the pool broke. And really, so folks, I've been doing this for 2 hours and 25 minutes. So I am totally fucking done. Like, that's it. Like, really. I don't know what else to say. Like, really, that's it. You should be seeing, like, I can't read the credits, and I guess they don't really want you to, but like, it's just pay attention. But that's it. You should be seeing Heidi Sai. Maybe that's what you should be seeing. I can't tell her name. That's it. But alright, everyone. Stay tuned for my next movie commentary, and we're going to have a lot more fun. This has been Zen or Titanic.